Hey, everybody, welcome back. This is Kara Crosthwaite-Brindle, a co-founder of the Empowerment Model of Clinical Supervision. Welcome to our latest video in the Stellar Supervision series, all things supervision here in this video series. And today we have Shannon, another expert in supervision, who's going to talk a lot about how to find a best fit supervisor-supervisee combination, which for a lot of us is a big deal. Shannon, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Kara. I'm a huge fan of yours, and I love the Stellar Supervision series, so I'm excited to talk to you today.
Thank you. Well, yeah, so share, I know that you do a lot of things, so I always like to have people highlight what they're up to as we start.
Sure. My name is Shannon Heers. I'm a licensed professional counselor, certified addiction specialist, and approved clinical supervisor. Whew, that's a mouthful. A group private practice located in the Denver metro area, Catalyst Counseling. And we also just launched our new supervision program, and it's called Firelight Supervision, and I'm super excited about it. I'll tell you more about it a little bit later, but your question was like, what are the different things that I do? And I probably do just maybe not as much as you do, but maybe 10 to 15 things within a week. You know, I'm still seeing clients. I'm still a therapist. I provide clinical supervision and clinical consultation, both to pre-licensed therapists and to therapists who are already licensed. I also provide supervision of supervision services. So new supervisors or even more, advanced supervisors who just want to continue to get feedback and consultation on their own supervision. I run a lot of clinical groups. We run a lot of clinical supervision and consultation groups. And I run my businesses, which involves 10 different hats. So,
Definitely. But you're not bored by any means.
I am not bored. I am not bored.
Well, Awesome. I appreciate you making time to do this video because I feel like you've got some pretty cool stuff going, but also some new things launching from what you're saying. So I imagine this will all kind of come together, but I asked you to come on because I feel like you've built this really robust team of supervisors who have a lot of interesting specialties and backgrounds. And so you and I started talking about, look, how do we find best fit for new supervisees or folks who come into the practice who want to have supervision? So what kinds of things do you have people look for to say this might be a fit?
That's a great question, Kara, because one of the things that I didn't realize earlier in my career is that you have a choice as to who you can get clinical supervision from, right? I mean, you don't have to go with a person who's assigned to you, say you're working in a big community agency or even in private practice. Like you don't have to get the bulk of your clinical supervision to your assigned administrative manager. And so when I kind of figured that out, I was like, oh my gosh, we can actually look for things like what do I want my supervisor to specialize in clinically? What do I want their theoretical orientations to be so that I can learn from? What do I want their experience to look like? What do I want their training as a supervisor to look like? What do I want their costs to look like? Sometimes you do have to pay for external clinical supervision, but that also opens up the doors to you can find a really, really good fit clinical supervisor. Absolutely. I also encourage some of our therapists or people who call us and are looking for clinical supervision. I encourage them to interview around, look around, find someone who's a great fit. If you really love to work with adolescents, find a supervisor who loves that also, You really want group as part of your supervision experience. Make sure that you have a supervisor that can offer that or find someone who can. I think location is important, but much less important now that we can do everything online. If you're in a more rural part of the state, you can have a supervisor, who is up in Denver, who may match you in terms of what you're looking for, skill, experience-wise, and niche-wise.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what I'm hearing is having kind of a list of questions or a list of things to explore with a supervisor would be really helpful. Everything from like their credentials, their background, their training, to their specialties, and even just like personal fit when you have an interview of like, oh, do we seem to get along? Is there something that would be kind of jarring to work with them? All sorts of interesting things might show up in just that interview process you mentioned.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up, kind of the style fit too. Do you want a supervisor who's a little more directive, or do you want someone who's really just going to challenge you to think and come up with answers yourself? And one thing we both didn't mention is cost, because if you are looking for external supervision outside of your job, you're going to have to pay for that. So what fits into your budget, not just now, but in the long term? And also know that sometimes there are gives and takes. Maybe if you're looking at a higher cost supervisor, you would hope that maybe they have more training and experience in that way. That's not always the case, but it's certainly something to consider.
Right. And just like read up on their background, ask for that kind of supervision disclosure statement, if you will, of here's everything about them, just so you know what you're getting into for a contract.
Yeah, and what the supervision model is that they use. And, I come from an integrative developmental model, which means we really look at the level of skill and experience of the supervisee, and I match my interventions as a supervisor and my teaching to that level. Are they a beginner therapist? Are they an intermediate therapist? Are they an advanced counselor?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's important.
Yeah. And that's actually that model we really like. We pull from different other models, therapist as person model, some other, we can certainly supervise from a more theoretical orientation. Like if you want someone who's really strong in CBT, we can, provide supervision in that area. But all the supervisors on our team are pretty clear about what their supervision model is, what theoretical orientations they feel comfortable overseeing, and what populations that they've worked with in the past. So I do think that's important as a supervisee is interviewing supervisors.
Right. And I encourage everyone, I'm going to put your website below and even your new project we haven't talked about yet, but I'm going to include both these websites because I think it's so important to see that team of supervisors. It's very impressive when you look at your website and see all of their specialties and what they do. And it's just very clear. And I think that's really helpful to folks who are looking. So I'm going to feature that because I think people should take a look at your website.
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. I do think it's important. There's you have to be an advanced counselor to really become a good supervisor, right? You don't want someone to be doing supervision. I shouldn't say you don't want someone. It would be challenging to have a supervisor who doesn't have that clinical experience. So all of our supervisors have been licensed for, I want to say at least 10 years, and have been in the field and have been doing the work and have been doing the supervision and consultation. They are really clear about what they're good at. We're also really clear about what we might need to refer out for,
Sure. Equally important.
Who might not be a good fit for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we're kind of talking about some things people can ask about or, explore and obviously interview multiple supervisors for fit. Are there any other tips or tricks that you'd have a supervisee think about if they're looking for a supervisor?
I would just encourage people to continue to do your research. If you don't know anyone, if you have no colleagues, no professors, no one to ask, you can certainly go online and just put it in a Google search. Actually, that's how a lot of people end up finding us. And that's great. We don't want anyone practicing in isolation, even someone who's more of an advanced counselor. You always want to have someone available to consult with. In fact, Kara, I still have a clinical supervisor, and it's someone I've worked with for, oh my gosh, almost over 15 years. And it's that relationship, that supervisory relationship is that I can go to him for anything. And I really trust him and I trust his feedback. And it's more of a consultation at this point because I have been in the field longer, but just knowing I have that safety net there. And I always consult on high acuity cases. You don't want anyone, working in isolation and having a high acuity case and having to make a decision on your own. You always want to make sure that you have someone that's, you trust and you have that relationship with that you can get consultation on.
Right. Such an important reminder for all of us who have been doing this a little while and are still, we're still learning and growing. There's not, a cap on what we've learned. There's always more to do and more to grow. So tell me about your other projects. I think we are curious. I heard the name of it, but I want to hear more. So our viewers probably want to hear more as well. What are you up to?
Sure. So I have my group counseling practice, and about 1.5 years ago, we launched Supervision as a service as part of that, both clinical supervision for licensure candidates and clinical consultation for, therapists and social workers who are already licensed. We started offering group and individual, and it's just gotten so big in the last 1.5 years. We had to separate out that program into a completely new program. And it's called Firelight Supervision. And I'm really excited. We just launched our website. So we have much more room to expand on how we can meet your needs. We offer specialties, clinical supervision and consultation in different areas. I think we actually have 10 different consultation or supervision groups running right now. Wow. There's 5 of us who supervisors. Yeah, so there's just a lot of different options that you can get. And I'm really excited about it. One of the biggest parts of our program is the group work that we do, the group consultation or supervision. It's a little bit less of a time and money investment, especially for someone who, kind of knows what they're doing, feels pretty confident with their cases, but really wants some connection with other therapists, maybe even networking with other therapists, and, just once a month wants to come together and do some case reviews.
Yeah.
That's a great option. And we found that those are really powerful in terms of making therapists feel less isolated, more connected, and also learning more about the community resources in the area.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that you're offering this resource. I mean, I can't wait to put all the things up here on this video so people can jump right into that website and say, oh, let me see what I can find. Congratulations. Well, that's a big deal.
Thank you. Yeah. It is a work in progress, but we're excited to do it and offer it. Like, I was just so surprised at the need for clinical supervision and consultation in the area. I did not think of this program when we just said, oh, we'll offer it because we love supervision and we have several supervisors, and it's something that we want to add in addition to our counseling services. I just didn't think it would get so big. I didn't think the demand would be there, and it is there. I have 3 LCSW supervisors, and in Colorado, at least, that is such a huge need. There are not enough LCSW supervisors to provide supervision for all the licensure candidate social workers. We also offer LPCC supervision as well.
Nice. Yeah. So obviously I'll put both websites out here for everyone, but if someone wanted to reach you directly, if they have some questions for you on everything that you've built or the fact that you are a seasoned supervisor yourself, where would they reach you best?
Yep, probably email is the best. Shannon at firelightsupervision.com is probably the best way to reach me. Also have on our website, there's, plenty of ways to sign up for a free phone consultation with myself or any of our clinical supervisors. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being such a resource to our community, and I'm excited to have people reach you through this video. So thank you for being here.
Thanks, Kara. I appreciate you doing these as always.
Yeah, absolutely. Viewers, stay tuned for more videos. We'll see you next time.